Nick from Breaking the Clutch. Hope you guys are having a fantastic Friday. A couple things that I want to get to before we jump into today's gameplay, and just as a preface, I am using Serina in this gameplay, which is one of my favorite leaders, and my opponent is using Cutter, so keep that in mind as the beginning of this match unfolds. First thing I want to get to is that we have a tournament coming up this Saturday. It is absolutely free. I believe the tournament start time is 11 a.m. if I'm not mistaken. Regardless, link to the website that will be hosting the tournament bracket and all that information will be pinned in a comment down below. So be sure to check that out if you're interested in participating in a 1v1 tournament for free. And again, the way that we do our tournaments is we have 2 a month. I think it's going to be for the next 3 or 4 months, and then at the end of the season that we're calling it, the amount of points that you get based on wins can get you prizes and stuff like that. So hopefully you guys are interested in that. Again, link to that will be in the comments section down below. Second thing that I would like to mention is that we are bringing back the BtC podcast. That I think will air. We recorded it last night, and I think it'll air on Sunday if everything goes smooth and there was no file corruption or anything like that, because I've yet to receive the file from Pat. But as long as everything goes smooth, you'll see the first episode of the podcast this Sunday, and it was a absolute fun one to shoot. We had Hosticide featured in it, so it was Pat, myself, and Hosticide for that first episode of the BtC podcast. We plan on bringing in a bunch of different guests from our mod team, from our community, from other channels, to get just a wide variety of opinions. And the theme of this week's episode is on the posts that Postum's made on the forums. What would you like to see changed? What's your wish list for Halo Wars 2? So that's our theme. I thought it best to bring in Hosticide because he's probably the most competitive player on our mod team, and his input is always appreciated when it comes to those competitive when it just comes to competitive Halo Wars in general. He is the one who has brought forth our tournaments and is actually facilitating our BtC tournaments. It was his idea and everything like that. So no better guest to have, I think, than Hosticide on our first episode with that particular topic. But again, if you guys have any suggestions for the topics or new topics that you guys would like to see in future episodes, leave that on Sunday's video or in the comments down below. Also, last thing that I want to get to is I know for myself, whenever I listen to a podcast, I listen to it on iTunes, I listen to it on the podcast app on Apple. There's a bunch of different ways that people listen to podcasts. I'm curious to see if you guys are interested in having it an audio version uploaded separately to one of those third-party websites or apps. If you guys are interested in that and the podcast gains traction, then perhaps I will do that. I've got, it shouldn't be any problem with that, because just for the fact that audio only is just, it's megabytes. It's super small, easy to upload. So that really wouldn't be a problem. It's just a preference for you guys. If you guys do like the first episode and the next couple episodes that we put out, then feel free to let me know where you guys listen to your podcast at, and I will happily accommodate several of those to make it more easy for you guys to access the podcast and join in on the conversation. Now let's go ahead and jump into the analysis. I'm running Serina. Like I said earlier, one of my favorite leaders to run. She is one of the most trollish leaders, I should say. The fact that you can freeze units, it really pisses people off. It pisses myself off anytime I run into a Serina. And I don't know, I really find the ice theme that Serina has to be very fun to use, especially with Kodiaks, especially with Siege Turret. Just normal turrets, I guess, as well, just because they have they radiate some ice as well with the upgrade. So there's a lot of fun things that can be done with Serina. I also like the Cryo Troopers a lot more than Hellbringers, whatever they're called, Hellflamers. I'm not quite sure if they do more damage. I'd imagine not, but regardless, still super fun to use. And you'll see that I picked up the mini base on the back end of my opponent's base. Those are always, and I say this ironically right now because I don't have the two on my side, but it is honestly crucial to hold those mini bases for as long as you can. If you can go ahead and sneak one on your opponent's side of the map, that is always recommended, because again, it can be used as a stall tactic. The secondary base that I just picked up is also going to be used as a stall tactic. In 1v1s, I'm not very good at the early game when it comes to my rushing tactics. I notice that I play best whenever I try to just kind of take it slow. I don't want to push their base. Anytime I go in with the idea that I'm going to win the game off of rush A in my head or rush B, it never really pans out that way. For instance, if I go a bunch of Marines and Flamers, or if I go in previous seasons, if you go Jackrabbits and stuff like that, it's super difficult for myself to win in the first 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes. And really, that kind of also puts me back, since sometimes you overcommit, and I am at fault with that, especially. Sometimes you overcommit, you spend way too many resources, and then your opponent starts just rolling. So I want to make sure that I keep my opponent on his side of the map. I want to make sure that I don't overcommit and waste too many resources. And you'll see another thing that I absolutely love about Serina. Colony has this as well, or a similar thing. I'm going to go ahead and use Ice Barrier. We've got a nice pinch right here that we can go ahead and utilize, and we can slow down their units from leaving. The one that's up against the wall, obviously not a good one. I'm not quite sure what I was going for with that one, probably just like a spaz movement. But again, if you use those, if you use the Ice Barrier, if you use Colony's blockade, I don't remember exactly what it's called. If you use those types of things, you can really stop your opponent. You can cut them off from getting over to your side. And anytime I see an opponent who Serina drop those in, my first instinct is not to push towards that. I typically let those units that are left, if they don't really have a chance of winning, I'm not going to go ahead and try to save them. I'm going to back my units up, get away from the ice, because I don't want my units to freeze, which again can cause big problems down the line. And these things do last a while, especially if your opponent does not start taking shots at them. Just like Colonies, Serina's will stay alive just as long. And the good thing about Serina's is it freezes units. You see that there's a frozen warthog stuck in time right over there. Another thing that I did was I picked up, I think it's Restoration Drone, and dropped it on my base. Looking back on that, I regret that, and you'll see how many times I have to use Restoration Drone just to get my base to a decent green. It's not, it doesn't, I don't even think it ever gets fully healed in this gameplay, but regardless, of course I'll do it in a second, but yeah, I need to get those Nightingales out, and I need to push those over there. Just more cost efficient. Leader points really shouldn't be spent on Restoration Drones, in my opinion. Not really sure the functionality of them and their viability in the game, just because they don't really heal too much. Especially, maybe it's just specifically for bases, but because I don't try to heal my units with that. That's what the Nightingales are for. But bases, they don't really heal that well. So again, looking back, I need to make that adjustment in the future. Just go ahead and pick up an air pad and use Nightingales as quickly as possible. And you'll see my opponent is kind of, I pushed him back for right now. I've got control of that side of the map. I need to also go ahead and, this is another part where I typically, or I have made errors in the past. When I pick up a base on their side of the map, I also want to go back and pick one up on my side of the map. Like I said, this tactic is a stall tactic. I am trying to stall my opponent from getting his control of his side of the map. But I'm probably going to have a casualty. That base could be a casualty. Some of my units might be a casualty. Now that's a much better Ice Barrier drop right there, and let's see if it becomes effective actually. But again, I need to pick up a base on my side of the map. Make sure that if that base does drop, because he's going to be able to funnel units much quickly, or more quickly than myself, just because it's right next to his base. If I lose that base, then I'm also having another base that's up and running and it's functional, which is absolutely crucial when trying to play into the mid game. You see, I picked up, I think it's Cryo Bomb right there, and I dropped it in nicely, able to pinch the rest of those units that are right there. So something that was looking a little grim just a second ago, I was able to change the outcome of that by using Cryo Bomb, by using Ice Barrier, and just having a good assortment of units that I think really complement this particular gameplay well. Marine seemed to be a decent play, and then also obviously if you can get a little bit of air in there. But for this particular gameplay, I don't like the fact that I went one Hornet. I actually don't think I go any more Hornets in this gameplay. Preferably, I'd like to get another Marine out. I'd like to get a Nightingale out, something along those lines, instead of having one random Hornet. I can't remember exactly. You know, when you're in the moment of the game, sometimes you just you see a unit and you're like, yeah, that'd be good to have, and you click it real quick, but you don't take this a couple seconds to think about it. That Hornet's rather useless to me. The next thing that I'm going to go ahead and try to do, considering that I have control of his right side or his left side of the map, I'm going to try to make sure that he doesn't get that expo. This is pretty much a nail in the coffin if I can go ahead and eliminate him from picking up an expo, and I'm able to pick that base up as well. And you'll see that it just, again, this is one of those situations where took control early in the game, was able to pick up that side base, was able to defend it twice from 2 decent pushes by him, and was really able to keep control of this gameplay. And anytime your side of the map is just coasting and you're just able to just put upgrades on it, no one's attacking ever, I have no idea how those 2 guys got up there. Considering I had ice barriers blocking them, it's pretty impressive of them. But regardless, like I said, when you're able to just look back on your base and then upgrade things, and you're not really in a stressful situation because you have control of the game, you're able to make better decisions, getting reinforcements going. I'm going to start getting infantry upgrade 1 going. Many of you will be happy to see I end up getting infantry grade 2, maybe even 3. I'll leave that to be decided, can't quite remember. But these are things that if you control several bases, if you control the map, you control power nodes, these things become much more clear. You're able to make smarter decisions, again, without having that stress. And you'll see that I sent over that Hornet just to get a scout. Saw he had a garage, and I believe he had some Hornets in that mix, and then he also had some Warthogs as well. That's fine. Instead of going Wolverines for myself, I'm going to just keep pumping out Marines, because they are obviously anti-air, and they'll do fine damage to those Warthogs as well with infantry upgrade 2. So I'm not too concerned. I'm going to keep pumping those out. They're quick units, and then also when I get my reinforcements 2, I'm going to have even more, so I'm not really concerned. Again, I've got him pushed to 1 base. It's highly unlikely that he has reinforcements 1, super unlikely that he has reinforcements 2. So I'm putting myself in a position, not trying to overcommit right now. If I push his base, I'm probably not going to be able to defend it, or to win that engagement. I'll lose a bunch of units in the process. He'll defend it. Maybe he starts rolling and picks off one of my bases. Not a situation I want to put myself in. I'm going to go ahead and try to get this base operating. I'm going to get the garage out so I can get some Kodiaks in the mix, because obviously I love me some Kodiaks that can shoot ice and can freeze units. I'm going to get siege turrets up there, so that way when I do make my final push, I'm able to just barrage the enemy, really demoralize them, and that way there's really no coming back from that. And then obviously with the Marines, they're super quick to make. It will just take me a few moments with the several bases that I have, to repopulate that population. So I'm not really concerned. I think I'm in a good position. I hope you guys have enjoyed the gameplay. Let me know what you guys would like to see in the future. Do you want to see more 1v1 analysis? Do you want to see more live comms? Because we've definitely got way more of those on the way. Podcast dropping on Sunday. Again, let me know how you guys want to view or listen to your content for the podcast. Again, it'll be uploaded on the channel. I'll put some gameplay in the background just for visual stimulation for you guys. And then if you're just listening to the audio and you're going to minimize that window, then perhaps there is a better way for us to do it, which again would be putting it up on a third-party website that has that's specifically for podcasts. So again, let me know what you guys prefer, and I think that's going to do it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys have a fantastic day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
One of our buildings. Supply pad constructed. Local unit. Supply pad constructed.
Target for me, sir. Acquiring target.
Fire base constructed. We've lost a building to the enemy.
What are my orders, sir? Locking down.
Our base is under attack. Generator constructed. Supply pad constructed.
What's my target, sir?
Supply pad constructed.
The enemy has destroyed one of our
Prepping
structures.
for lockdown.
Local unit. Supply pad upgrade complete. Supply pad upgrade complete. All units. Supply pad constructed. Local units. Local units. All units. Combat station upgrade complete. All units. 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 We've destroyed an enemy structure. All units. All units.
Assault from enemy ground forces.
Headquarters upgrade complete.
The threat.
All units. An enemy structure has been destroyed. Our base is under attack. All units. All units. All units. All units. All units. Supply pad constructed.
Loud and clear.
All units.
Saving a ship.
We've destroyed an enemy structure. All units. Leader point earned.
I hear you, sir.
All units. Supply pad constructed. All units.
Sound off.
Adjusting elevation.
Initial assessments indicate a decisive win. Well done.